And welcome back, and it is the 28th of March, higher plus 5 a day, and let's just jump straight in. Right, first question, write 16 in the form. This is a quite difficult question. Now, there's lots of ways of doing this question. The way I would suggest you do it, because I think it's easiest to explain and easiest to replicate, is I would say 16 is the same as 2 to the power of 4. In other words, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 8 is the same as 2 cubed to the power of n. So in other words, 8 to the n is 2 cubed to the n, which is the same as 2 to the 3n. Now, because I want to write this as equals to this, these things are equal, which means that 4 is equal to 3n, which means that n is equal to 4 over 3. And that means, going back to my original question, I can write 16 as 8 to the power of 4 over 3. And quick check, we know that works because the third means cube root. The cube root of 8 is 2. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So therefore it's 8 to the 4 over 3. Good question. Rationalise the denominator. Now this comes under the absolute, just a skill you need to know. So if you've never seen it before, you won't know how to do it. So you're going to multiply top and bottom by the negative of whatever the thing on the bottom is. So in this case, 1 minus root 6. And you're just going to do that carefully. So root 3 times 1 on the top is root 3. Root 3 times root 6 is root 18, which by the way will simplify. And then I've got on the bottom 1 times 1 is 1. Difference of 2 squares, so I just need to multiply the n2 characters, n2 numbers. And root 6 times root 6 is 6, so it's going to be 1 minus 6. So this isn't going to be a nice little function, is it? Now I'm going to simplify root 18. So root 18 is root 9 times root 2, so that's 3 root 2. So in other words, this all together is going to give me root 3 minus 3 root 2, and divide all that by minus 5, which I could also write as 3 root 2 minus root 3 divided by 5. In other words, I switch the minuses around. That's it. Yeah, good question. Next question. The equation of a circle with circle C with centre O is that. Now, I would note that therefore straight away it means my centre is 0, 0, and my radius is a square root of 225, which is 15. Good idea to know your squares. Things like this will help. Then it says write down maths code for you should just be able to do it with that much maths. The coordinates of 5, not just 1 or 2, but 5 points that lie in C. Okay, so a quick sketch is going to help me here. So let's draw a circle. So it's a circle with radius 15. So 4 of the points are really obvious, aren't they? So 4 of the points are just the points here, here, and here. So therefore I'm going to write 15, 0 and 0, 15. And then also minus 15 and 0 and 0 and minus 15. So I've got basically the points that cross the axis. Those are the easy points. Then I'm going to need another point. Now, this is where sort of just doing a lot of questions helps, because the first thing I think of, maths teacher, perhaps I do, but never mind, is I think of a 3, 4, 5 triangle. In other words, if I have a right angle triangle where that's 3 and that's 4, it means that one is 5. It's like an integer triangle that works very well. Pythagorean triple is what it's called. Well, this also works when you scale it. So if I multiply this by 3, I get 9, 12 and 15. And because 15 is my radius, that means I can draw any triangle, which is going to be a 9, 12, 15 triangle, which means I can also have 9, 12, and any combination of minuses, so plus 9, minus 12, etc., etc. So lots of values there. But that's it. I've done 5. That fifth one was obviously harder, but I used my understanding of Pythagoras and triangles to help me out. Next question. Right, in a class, there are 12 girls. 2 of the girls are going to be chosen to give a presentation. Work out the number of pairs. Now, we saw a question like this very recently, didn't we? There are 12 girls. I've got to pick a pair of girls. So there's a choice of 12 for the first one and 11 for the second. So that means it's 132. But as you've seen me say before on a different question, the problem with that is, so let's say Annabelle matches up with Betty. Well, that's exactly the same as Betty matching up with Annabelle. So I'm going to double up my pair. So I need to halve 132, and that is going to give me 66. So the answer to this one is going to be 66. Next and final question. The area of an equilateral triangle is 200 centimeters squared. Okay, so quick sketch. Probably don't need to do this. We're going to do it anyway. So equilateral triangle, area is 200. Find the length of each side. Give your answer to 2 decimal places. Now, couple of ways of doing this, and actually very similar question to yesterday. So I'm going to use the half ABC sine C method. So I'm going to say that my side length is x. I know, because it's equilateral, that that's 60 degrees. So that means a half times the side times the side times sine of 60 is equal to the area, which is 200. Which means, now multiply both sides by 2, which means that x squared over sine 60, which is root 3 over 2, is equal to 400. Multiply both sides by 2 over root 3, which means x squared equals 400 times 2 over root 3. Calculator out, take the square root of that number, and I get 21.49139864, which I'm going to call 21.5. And am I measuring something in centimetres? Yes, I am. 21.5 centimetres. Again, this month really has seen the questions differ in sort of types and value. And I think that's where the benefit of this is. You want to be jumping around with different questions, trying different skills and not just doing the same topics. Equally, don't underestimate doing the topic you think you know, because you might find out there's a clever way of doing it. So for example, that first question, indices, it might be that you thought you knew them, but that first question showed you might need to do a bit more practice. Let me know how you did. Do like, subscribe. See you for the next one. Thanks all.